비트코인이 전고점인 190K대로 다시 치고 올라온 가운데 약간의 조정이 올 때마다 그리고 횡보를 할 때마다 사람들은 의심을 드러내고 있죠. 결국 전부 가치가 사라질 것이라고 바라보는 모든 사람들에게 미국의 대표적인 헤지펀드 매니저 마크 유스코가 그런 질문을 가진 사람들에게 필요한 이야기를 꺼냈는데요. 우선 빠르게 그의 이야기 들어보시죠.
They fear price fluctuation and therefore they don't act. If you add Bitcoin to a portfolio, your volatility overall goes down and your long-term compounding goes up. Yes, institutions are here and yes, the ETFs are buying and hodling. And yes, some hedge funds are buying and hodling. And yes, some Bitcoin treasury companies are buying and hodling. People are adding it. And now you're seeing this relentless accumulation. Bitcoin is on a tear, not necessarily just price. I mean, there's volatility. And as Michael says, volatility is vitality. That's what creates the opportunity. Lots of people underperform long-term as investors because of one really simple idea, which is they fear volatility. And by not acting, you stay too conservatively postured and inflation chews up your return and you get less rich. If you think about building a portfolio, what's interesting about Bitcoin in particular as a portfolio diversifier is it's highly volatile because there's a lot of uncertainty across the masses on the future, right? Yesterday I retweeted something that said, Bitcoin going to zero since 2009.
Correct.
Right? There are people that still believe. It's hard for me to fathom, actually. There's people that still believe to this day that, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's a fad, it's going back to zero. Well, it's never going to zero for lots of different reasons.
No.
And the likelihood is this volatility that has been around 80-ish, which, by the way, is the same as Amazon stock, which we can come back to at some point, is probably going to decline over time as more people become convinced that this is the future of money. But the best thing about it is volatility is one measure of an asset in your portfolio, but another is correlation to the other assets. If you think about it, if I own bonds, super risky strategy, actually. Oh, no, Mark, there's no volatility. Well, right, but then you get chewed up by inflation, so you get less rich. That's pretty risky.
Correct.
So if I had equities, which on the surface seem riskier because they have higher volatility, but they're uncorrelated to bonds, the risk of my portfolio actually goes down. That's what Markowitz, won the Nobel Prize for. And when you add Bitcoin, which is highly volatile, it's 0.0 correlated to bonds and 0.15 correlated to stocks, your whole portfolio volatility actually goes down. And you're like, no, that's impossible. What is? Now, that doesn't mean every day, every minute.
비트코인의 변동성에 대해 인정하는 마크 유스코, 사람들의 우려와 달리 비트코인 수용자가 늘어나고 있다며 오히려 다른 자산과의 상관관계가 거의 없기 때문에 포트폴리오에 넣으면 전체 리스크가 줄어든다고 봤는데요. 아마존과 비교했을 때 그 변동성이 동일하고 오히려 일반적인 성장 자산과 같은 모습이라고 이야기했습니다. 마크 유스코의 말처럼 비트코인은 성장 중이기 때문에 15년간의 데이터가 영원히 될 수 없음을 이야기했습니다. 그런데 여러분, 전문가 얘기만 듣고 사면 부자 될 것 같지만 시장은 그렇게 호락호락하지 않습니다. 코인 시장은 세력과 자본이 지배하는 구조입니다. 진짜 정보는 공개되지 않습니다. 저희는 여러분이 최소한 5분 먼저 움직일 수 있도록 실전 데이터를 무료로 공개합니다. 하단 링크 클릭하고 기회를 잡으세요.
But alongside of that maturation of the market or institutionalization of the market, now we have futures and we have options. And when the financialization of a commodity, now this is one of the be careful what you ask for things. Remember the whole argument about, Bitcoin's not a security, and we love that they called it a commodity. Do ya? Think about it. Why do you want it to be a commodity? Oh, because it's taxed better and then it won't be, crushed by the SEC. Okay, but think about it. Commodities, okay, like gold, wheat, corn, oil, do they have high volatility or low volatility? Well, they kind of have high volatility. And can those markets be manipulated by the big institutions? About gold. Yeah. Gold has been manipulated. And I love the fact JP Morgan got caught, right? Red-handed, caught manipulating the gold market, paid $1 billion, well, it's $960 million. So almost $1 billion fine. And they're like, without admitting wrongdoing. I love that part. Correct. Didn't do anything wrong, but we're paying this $1 billion fine. And the guy said, well, look, it's just a cost of doing business. We made $20 billion. We pay one. It's not bad.
It's a good business.
5%. Now, you shouldn't have been doing that, but they do, and they get away with it. If you go back to 2018, the price went from 10,000 to 20,000 in about 6 weeks post Thanksgiving into the second week of December. And then it crashed, right? We went in a big crash, and by middle of 2019, it was all the way down at 3,200, or end of 2019, back down to 3,200. Well, interestingly, literally on the day, December 18th of the peak, the CME issued new futures. Well, what does that mean? Well, a future allows a big institution to go short. Now, you're not supposed to do that, but again, rules are for other people. Because if you're an institution and you want to buy something, you don't tell everybody how great it is. And you push the price down so you can go accumulate at a lower price. I mean, the big hedge fund guys used to do this all the time. Julie Robertson, George Soros. Fast forward to 2021, the price peaks again. The CME issues more futures. So right as you get the approval of the ETFs, people can go short against the box. Everybody's like, oh, look, Millennium owns $2 billion of Bitcoin. No, they don't. They don't own $2 billion. They are short at least $2 billion, maybe even a little more sometimes, but mostly they're market neutral. But they're short. So as the futures market has evolved, that volatility that should be going down, to your point, actually keeps rising. Therefore, there's going to be activity in paper, not real Bitcoin, but paper Bitcoin. So there's always method to the madness, right? There was a reason that they deemed it not a security and it's a commodity. That wasn't by accident. That wasn't so they could ignore it. It was so they could financialize it and control it, tame it. There's TradFi, traditional finance. There's DeFi, which is the future, decentralized finance. But in the middle, there's this thing, rocky road, called CeFi, centralized finance. And there's a process. So there are absolutely people who are all the way over here in DeFi. They are self-sovereign, be your own bank. They own their keys, their coins. They're on, hard drive or whatever. I mean, I know a ledger or whatever. And that's great. Now, we all know people lose their password, they lose their seed phrase, they have a boating accident, whatever it is. And so it's a bearer asset. Bearer assets have unique risks. And so you think about money. In the old days, money was, I had chickens and you had cows. Yeah. That was our wealth. And we would come to the market and we would trade those physical animals. And that's how we did it. It was barter. And they were like, that's stupid and it's messy. So I'm going to bring these little coins with chickens on them, and you're going to bring these coins with cows on them, and we'll trade the coins. Well, but those sacks of coins were heavy, and on the way home, the robbers came and knocked us over the head and took the coins. So we put the coins in the bank. Yeah. Now we have these IOUs, these pieces of paper that we could trade. So then we electronified, right? We made QSIPs, ones and zeros in our bank accounts, and we would trade the QSIPs and we would trade the bank account ledger numbers. And that was a better system. But the problem was it was centralized and traditional in the sense that you put your money in the bank, it's now the bank's money. You put your money in a brokerage firm, it's now the brokerage firm's money. It's not yours. And you have an IOU and it works most of the time, but it's not yours. You're not self-sovereign. Well, Bitcoin comes along and says, well, I can fix that. I've created this ledger, triple entry accounting. So we know exactly who owns the Bitcoin. And I can own it myself without any intermediary. That's what peer-to-peer means, right? In the old days, I want to send you money. I have to have a bank account. You have to have a bank account. I have to send you, I pay a fee. If it goes across international borders, I pay another fee to the Rothschilds, because of a treaty for like 400 years ago. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's literally ridiculous that if I send money across international borders, I have to pay one of two banks because of a treaty from hundreds of years ago. That's ridiculous.
비트코인이 단순한 자산이 아니라 금융 시스템 자체에 대한 대안이라고 바라보고 있는 마크 유스코, 그의 이야기를 어떻게 들으셨나요? 비트코인에 기관들이 들어오며 점점 통제 대상이 되어가고 있는데, 그렇게 된다면 변동성은 낮아지고 가격은 올라갈 수밖에 없다고 바라봤는데요. 하지만 제 채널에 등장하는 전문가들은 대부분 비트코인을 좋게 이야기해야 하는 위치에 있는 사람들입니다. 고객 자금을 굴리고 있거나 회사 자금으로 비트코인을 구매한 사람들이 많기 때문이죠. 시장에는 정답질은 없습니다. 그럼에도 많은 투자자들은 리스크를 감수하고 돈을 벌기 위해서 비트코인 시장에 뛰어드는 것이죠. 하지만 급등락하는 비트코인 시장에서 급등과 급락을 반복하는 차트를 보고도 개인 투자자들이 욕심과 공포를 떨쳐내고 평정심과 내 자산이 우상향을 하는 것은 말처럼 쉽지가 않으실 겁니다. 저 또한 전업 투자자 생활을 오래 했지만 항상 좋은 자리를 기다리고 인내해야 수익을 조금씩 낼 수 있었습니다. 그래서 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서는 어떻게 하면 일반 개인 투자자들도 투자 시장에서 수익을 낼 수 있을까? 구독자분들께 어떻게 하면 조금이라도 도움을 좀 드릴 수 있을까? 고민을 하다가 구독자분들도 비트코인이 명확하게 상승 추세가 나왔을 때만 투자를 하실 수 있게 한다면 수익이 조금 나지 않을까? 라는 생각을 하게 되었는데요. 제가 전업 투자를 하면서도 개발자로 오래 일을 했기 때문에 저도 써볼 겸 유료 결제를 해서 결국 만들었습니다. 바로 비트코인이 정말 신뢰할 수 있는 상승 추세인 건지 횡보인지 하락인지 알 수 있게 도움을 주는데요. 지금 보고 계시는 건 비트코인 차트인데요. 제가 빨간색 네모 박스로 표시해둔 곳을 보시면 주황색 61선과 파란색 121선이 교차하는 구간에서 추세가 변동되는 걸 보실 수 있습니다. 실제로 지금 비트코인은 최근에 61선과 121선이 데드크로스 하방 교차하면서 조정이 나오고 있는데요. 제가 운영 중인 앤드류 관점 채널에서는 보시다시피 2월 25일부터 제가 줄 곧 비트코인 하락 관점을 제가 말씀드리고 리스크 관리에 대해서 말씀을 드렸고 많은 분들이 도움을 받으셨습니다. 물론 데드크로스가 난다고 해서 무조건 하락하지도 상승하지도 않습니다. 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서 개발한 알파빗 지표는 약 8개의 고급 추세 기준과 트레이더들의 노하우를 담아서 차트가 상승할 확률이 높을 때 신호가 나오도록 개발을 하였습니다. 그 결과 저희 전문 트레이딩 팀 또한 판단에 도움받을 정도로 만족할 만한 놀라운 성과를 보였습니다. 시중에 유료로 팔 수 있을 정도로 가치 있는 지표이지만 저희 앤드류 채널 영상을 시청해주시는 구독자분들께는 무료로 제공해드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 저 또한 며칠 밤새 테스트하며 어렵게 만든 지표이지만 구독자분들 성원에 힘입어 저 또한 도움을 받고 있기 때문에 어렵게 공유드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 초보자분들부터 경력이 오래된 트레이더분들까지 굉장히 큰 도움을 받을 수 있는 지표라 도움이 되실 거라고 자부합니다. 신청 방법은 하단 더보기란과 고정 댓글에 나와 있으니 많은 신청 부탁드리고 이번 하락장에서 모두 잘 살아남으셔서 좋은 성적 내시면 좋겠습니다.